Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. Yes, if you're surprised, I do not have a live chat tonight. It is going to be a daily show. Basically, I have no time. And if you want specifics for that, I've already told the members on the members only video. So if you want to know more about my personal life, I guess, you can join as a member down below. But let's get right into the topics already. The first topic of the day is about Spider-Man No Way Home. And this is coming from Grace Randolph. Good spot. Internet sleuths Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire are all going to be in New York City this week. All right! I will let you know if I hear anything specific about a trailer. But this does sound like a potential launch of Spider-Man, of the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man No Way Home. And this is what she's talking about. Because I don't know about Andrew Garfield, but specifically, Tobey Maguire has been spotted. What's wrong? This guy has some crazy eyes. But yeah, Tobey Maguire looks great. You know, I know there's a lot of fan edits out there where he's like totally gray and, you know, grungy looking. But he looks like Tobey Maguire from back then. I don't know. He looks really good. So this person says all seriousness, he's gonna be in the new movie. I know that for a fact. He's gonna do another movie, and then that's it. What was his expression when you asked him about Spider-Man No Way Home? And he says he winked at me and smiled. Look at that smile. This is a man who's back. This is Peter Parker, and he's back. He's going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home along with Tom Holland and, of course, Andrew Garfield. They're all going to be in New York City this week. This is it, guys. It's happening. It's happening. All three Spider-Man are in the same movie. Imagine like a round shot where all the Sinister Six is coming down at them, and you're like, whoa! You know, that would be pretty insane. It's going to be insane. All right. Well, let's get into the other side of the universe here as I pull up some articles. Toronto Sun had a pretty large excerpt on the Suicide Squad. And it's mostly basically a lot of the cast saying it's going to be great, it's going to have humor, it's going to be funny, it's going to be an adult version of Guardians of the Galaxy in a way, although Guardians of the Galaxy is more about family and ours is not. It's a war film, it's a 60s film, it's going to be a lot of, it's rated R and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of that stuff, which is really cool. But there's a little bit more to that message here. And it's coming from Peter Safran from Safran Company, who is producing this. He also produced Aquaman and also is producing other films as well. So he says there's no sense of continuation from the first movie in this movie, says producer Peter Safran, referring to 2016's David Ayer-led Suicide Squad. The question I've been asked a lot is this a reboot or a sequel? It's definitely not a sequel, but it's not a traditional reboot either because it has a couple of continuing characters. So the way we described it is, this is the Suicide Squad from the mind of James Gunn. It's his vision for the film. So obviously it's not a continuation, but it will have characters from the first movie, and they probably remember what happened in the first movie. I guess you can say that. But there's certain creative differences between the first one and the second one. He's able to give these characters true backstories and heart and arcs. He's sending them on a really interesting mission that audiences will care about, but also have a good time with along the way. He was always the gold standard for this. And so he goes on to say, which is something interesting. Well, let's get what John Cena said first. John Cena said this: fans are going to love it. When you look at the business the first Suicide Squad movie did, you can say it was a success because people were entertained. But I think when you look at the movie from a critical standpoint, there was potential left on the table. I think this will exceed that. I think everyone's looking for something out of that name, Suicide Squad, and they will be pleasantly rewarded. And he's talking about the theatrical version of David Ayer's Suicide Squad, that there was potential there, but obviously saying that it didn't work out that way. Although I want to say, in a way, when he's bringing out the Suicide Squad name, it's living up to the name. And when you go back and even the David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, a lot of those villains do survive at the end. I think only Slipknot dies. I believe, and so the other military characters by the end of that David Ayer's Suicide Squad, right? Of course, in the theatrical version, there's more people, more of the villains died in that one. Not too much. I think it was only Diablo that was the only one that died in that one as well. So in this sense, I think he's trying to say that in this movie, it lives up to the name. There is a lot of people that are going to die in this movie. It's a true Suicide Squad mission. And Harley Quinn, or Margot Robbie, said she doesn't think it's odd to have a total reset of a film that takes place within a DC extended universe that includes films like Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's interesting that she put Zack Snyder's Justice League and not Justice League. They pretty much emphasize that. Oftentimes you'll be reading a comic and they leave off at one place and you pick up the next issue and they pick up with a totally different character, and that person who just died is suddenly there and you just go with it, she laughs. I swapped between the New 52 and the old comics, and none of that stops me from enjoying these stories. So basically saying it's just like a comic book, and you can pick it up, and sometimes it connects, sometimes there's differences, maybe the characters are drawn different, things like that. So Safran echoes these sentiments, acknowledging the first film's troubled production history and polarizing reception among fans. This is interesting. He said, David Ayer and the studio had different ideas of what it should have been. He admits, which is interesting that he refers them as the studio. He's not part of Warner Bros. He's like the Peter Safran company. So I'm thinking that's kind of interesting that he said that. For James to get involved in this one, it was very much about giving him a blank slate and giving him complete freedom to pick and choose the characters he wanted to inhabit this world and the story he wanted to tell in terms of the mission they go on. So in terms of Safran company, he's absolutely giving James Gunn, here's the keys, go with it, do what you want. If you want to bring in characters from the first one, that's great. If you're not, whatever. But the end result is a movie he describes as The Dirty Dozen meets Guardians of the Galaxy. So let's see how this movie turns out, how it goes, and if it lives up to that Dirty Dozen meets Guardians of the Galaxy thing. All right, moving forward, let's talk about this Nightwing movie that never came out and was thought to be canceled. But according to Chris Mckay, that is not true. Because they talked a little bit about Chris Mckay, and he had an interview with the Bear Cave because they were talking about Lego Batman and Tomorrow War and things like that. So first Mckay talked about the state of the script, and he had actually started working on a trailer to sell his vision for the film, but never finished it. Warner Brothers, had been working on a script before I came along, Mckay said. So DC had hired Bill Dybick to write a version of Nightwing, and I came in while that script was in the process and that draft hadn't quite landed yet, but landed after I got hired. So I took that draft with some thoughts I had as far as theme and the overall genre. There was some things I wanted to combine and built a trailer and never got a chance to finish it. It's instructive to some of the things we were going to do with the movie, and also what DC has embraced since then is probably the best way I can describe it, Mckay said. Then Mckay talked about the themes Nightwing would be dealing with, saying it becomes a revenge movie and be an introduction to Nightwing and the world of Bloodhaven. There was going to be a lot of villains. It was going to be real. It was going to be a character study about this guy who grew up with some sort of bad dad. How that made him as a young and adult try to fight off and go as far away from that world as humanly possible and get dragged back into it. The film has evolved and changed along the way to fit DC's overall approach. Just like the comics, there was a chance we might have seen Batman make an appearance, and when the movie was put into development, Ben Affleck was the main Batman, though Matt Reeves had already been brought in for the Batman. That said, they are still ironing out all those details. There is still some stuff that was indeed to be determined what that was going to look like, adding that Batman did not loom large over the story, elegantly tiptoeing around the question, but did say Batman didn't loom large over the story. It was like you were picking up a Nightwing comic. You're not guaranteed Batman was going to show up, but he could show up, and other people could show up. But again, you're dealing with Nightwing, and that's what I like about it. I like the idea of we don't necessarily connect to certain things. We can just have it be a story that takes place in Bloodhaven or with Dick Grayson and his world, how it became Nightwing and why he became Nightwing. There was a lot of stuff I liked about the approach. Okay, so while the movie has been in limbo, it has not been canceled. Mckay still hopes to make the movie a reality, The reason why I'm hesitating because right now today, which is Friday 18th of June, no one has told me we're not making that movie. It's just right now they have other priorities. That's the point of view Warner Brothers are coming from, and obviously a lot of things, a lot of their plans have change and change again. They've gone through a lot of stuff, and when I was brought into Nightwing, they were in the process of doing Matt Reeves' The Batman. So he was starting his thing there. So to him, I still hold a lot of hope I'm still going to make that movie. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but certainly no one has said, hey kid, you're not making that movie. In fact, if anything, they've said today we're not prioritizing that movie. But they still want to make a Nightwing movie, something I think is still important to them. Was it going to be expensive? Obviously not, I guess. It wasn't going to be a big budget movie. It was going to be under $100 million. So there you have it. Are you excited for a Nightwing movie? And all you have to say, a lot of these things, to just stay in limbo until Warner Brothers comes out and says, New Gods is not happening right now. The Trench is not happening right now. But as you've seen things like the Batgirl movie, the Supergirl movie, all these different movies that you heard about a long time ago and all of a sudden it starts showing up again, this could happen with Nightwing. It's on a board of development projects that is not totally greenlit and not totally going into production yet, but it doesn't mean it's off the board. So for right now, according to Chris Mckay, as of Friday 18th of June, Warner Brothers has told him they're not prioritizing it right now. So we'll see what happens in the future, and I hope Chris Mckay gets another shot at Nightwing. All right, let's get moving to the members' comments now, as I try to click on it. George, intrigued for the Bigfoot movie, always interested in mysteries, and as far as Star Wars goes, I'm a bit pissed off that the next movie is so far away. But I guess there has to be a big gap from the Skywalker saga, as I'm pretty sure there are loads of butthurt man babies still. Well, there is a lot of content coming out on Disney Plus, and that's why I think they're holding it off. You still got some Obi-Wan, you got some more Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and there's just tons of stuff coming out on Disney Plus. Speaking of film expectations, I find the whole idea of Diana in JL2 having a vision of her killing Soups very interesting. Zack said the current vision has JL2 being centered around the nightmare future. But if he's encouraging the idea of Diana seeing this, can we infer that the nightmare parts of the film are shown to us in the context of visions? And in this case, not just Bruce and Victor? Now Diana is going to have a nightmare vision? This begs for the question, who else has visions in JL2? Clark himself, maybe? Martha? Wouldn't that be tragic seeing her boy descend into darkness? Maybe Lois is the one who has the vision of exactly how she dies. Could possibly be. Does she know that she's gonna die? I don't know. But yeah, actually, I'm gonna be doing a video about Wonder Woman killing Superman in that vision. So be on the lookout for that. Hiding TK, is Warner Brothers and Abrams trying to get these movies in before the merger is completed? Has David Zaslav given hints about what he's planning? I don't know. That's a good question. And it could be obligation. I don't know if it is. They absolutely paid J.J. Abrams and his wife to come over to Warner Media for $500 million. So they better get some money out of him, I guess. Hi, Chris. Do you think the Muschiettis are starting their Flash film following Zack Snyder's Justice League instead of JL 2017? If so, how do you think they could pull that off without the Warner Brothers execs noticing? Thanks as always for the great videos. The hot dog light remains on. Very good question. From what I understand, not all execs actually look at the dailies. So it could be this case where they're not looking at the dailies. But something may end up on, during a test screening. But hopefully, now this is all if. I don't know if they're looking at dailies or not. Some people do. Kathleen Kennedy looked at dailies and she changed it up and stuff like that. But if they're not, and they're waiting for that actual test screening, and then something happens, maybe by then of that test screening, those execs will be gone, and so there would be no problem for Muschiettis to do whatever they want in the movie in that meantime. And that's just me speculation. I have no idea if that's going on, but Could be. Or Barbara really does like this fan art, want to give the artist some exposure. And I just gave that artist another piece of exposure, even though my audience is probably not nearly as big as Barbara Mckay's. Could it be that they're trying to fast-track JL Dark Universe because they wanted to tie up those characters for the Dark Side War, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3? If Snyderverse finds home on HBO Max, then it's quite an intriguing possibility. You know, I even thought about that. Before I finished the video, I didn't get to say that, but yeah, I was thinking, if Justice League Dark Apocalypse War has a lot of elements that were very similar to Justice League, what it was supposed to be, because they borrowed, like, that was the ideas were already out there. Maybe they had intentions of having a Justice League Dark characters within the war as well. In this case, that would be cool, because if they fast track everything up, and then by the time they get to make Justice League 3, they'll have Justice League Dark characters available for that Dark Side War. I like it. I like it. All right, well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you absolutely love this daily dose of entertainment news and content, please click the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, keep this hot dog light on, and I'll see you next time. Bye.